Right now, there are over 14 distinct AI runtimes competing for space on your machine, from Claude Code to Copilot, Cursor to Windsurf. They all promise the exact same thing: frictionless, instant software generation, where you describe an idea and the code simply appears. But an independent developer named TÂCHES took a counterintuitive approach. They built Get Shit Done, a GitHub repository that recently hit 57,000 stars, not by giving AI more freedom, but by ruthlessly clamping down on its autonomy. To understand why a restrictive tool is gaining traction, you have to look at the primary failure mode of modern AI development: vibe coding. You start a project, fire off a few prompts, and the AI rapidly builds out an impressive prototype. But eventually, the velocity stalls out completely. The underlying disease causing this stall is known as context rot. Large language models have a finite context window, their active memory for a conversation. When you constantly feed an AI new code, debug logs, and sprawling requests, you are filling up the AI's working memory with noise. Its reasoning degrades. The AI hallucinates features and forgets security constraints. After just 20 prompts, the model that built your flawless layout outputs erratic, broken logic. Giving an AI agent unchecked creative freedom guarantees systemic failure at scale. Fixing it requires stepping away from how we talk to the AI and rebuilding the architecture that surrounds it. Get Shit Done abandons standard prompt engineering entirely. Instead, it operates as a strict context engineering layer. The system dictates exactly what the AI can see, and more importantly, what it is allowed to do. Before the AI writes code, the system generates a precise XML tree of implementation steps. Once verified, it uses multi-agent orchestration, spinning up entirely fresh subagents. Each task receives a pristine 200,000 token workspace with zero conversational baggage. To prevent any single subagent from hallucinating, the system enforces a strict tiered size budget. Default files are capped at 500 lines of code. Large files get 1,000. Extra large files max out at 1,600 lines. If the agent breaches that limit, the system cuts it off, severing its ability to write. Mechanically, this functions exactly like wiping the cache in the AI's brain and enforcing an atomic commit for every single task. By aggressively compartmentalizing the work and cutting off bloated code before it gets committed, this architecture mathematically eliminates the accumulation of context rot. The AI remains sharp because it is constantly being reset. But solving the code-based mechanics is only half the battle. The other half involves the human workflow. The reality of a solo developer is incredibly different from a 50-person engineering team. Competing spec-driven tools like Spec-It or BMAD often stumble here. They attempt to force solo developers to engage in bloated corporate roleplay. You end up importing useless rituals. You find yourself assigning story points, holding imaginary sprint ceremonies, and drafting stakeholder sync documents for a project where you are the only human involved. Get Shit Done rejects this entirely through a philosophy TÂCHES calls anti-enterprise theater. The tool maintains a highly disciplined spec-driven workflow so that your requirements are absolutely locked before execution begins, but it rips out the entire layer of middle management bureaucracy. Scaling a solo operation requires stripping away heavy human bureaucratic rituals. Teaching those bad habits to an AI model only slows it down. This aggressive multi-agent architecture yields incredibly reliable code, but we need to look at the objective operational costs. The primary flaw with constantly spinning up fresh, isolated subagents for every single task is massive token waste. In GitHub issue 2548, importing required skills burns 13,000 tokens per run before analyzing your task. In issue 2500, it struggles with visual planning. Users stare at exhausting walls of text, begging for ASCII diagrams. Despite the excessive token burn and the visual fatigue, the success of this repository proves an interesting point. Raw code generation is no longer the true bottleneck in software development. The code the AI writes actually matters significantly less than the architectural context container we build around it. It raises a vital question about our industry. Human developers are actively transitioning away from writing software and moving towards strictly engineering the boundaries for AI. If you want to see how these boundaries continue to evolve, subscribe to the channel. Next week, we are breaking down the exact mechanics behind auto Claude code.